Hello and welcome to Boatrek Live. My name is PJ and it is Friday the 13th of December 2019. Whoa. Anyway, yesterday I watched the two new short treks, The Girl Who Made the Stars and Ephraim and Dot. First, I'm going to talk about The Girl Who Made the Stars. This little 7-minute and 44 second short trek is about Michael Burnham as a child going to bed, and her dad is telling her a bedtime story about an ancient African tribe where, they were afraid of the dark, so the little girl ventured out into the dark and got some kind of light thing from an alien and then made the stars. Very simplistic, the story is just meh. Whatever. I don't even care. It's hopeful and optimistic in terms of that Star Trek feel of just pure optimism and finding the light and all this kind of stuff. But first and foremost, I must say the animation is just fantastic. I could watch an entire Star Trek series in this type of animation. Very detailed, very artistic, very just very well done overall. And would I've liked to seen this type of animation used in, say, a more canonical exploration, say like some kind of recreation of some kind of old episode with a little caveat, some kind of side story that's going on. So The Girl Who Made the Stars is okay. It's fine. The animation is beautiful. Okay? Ephraim and Dot does a strange thing where it's about a tardigrade who wants to hatch its eggs, and it runs into the Enterprise around the era of Kirk during Space Seed and all this. So, okay. But then it goes into the engine room and it lays its eggs, and it goes through this time warp adventure through like key moments in the original series and then key moments in Star Trek 1 and 2. And then when it shows the Enterprise blowing up, as in the recreation of the Search for Spock, it says Enterprise A. And I get they're trying to include canon and give fans the fan service they deserve, and really trying to show fans that they're really into it, They're really into showing you that they know what canon is and they're going to include it in whatever they can. And Ephraim and Dot is just pretty much just an excuse for pure fan service. Now this is okay. This is not a terrible thing. Am I streaming or not? It's hard to figure out if I'm actually streaming because I can't see it anywhere. It's like I don't exist. Okay, there I am. I wasn't sure if I was actually live streaming, but anyway, getting back to Ephraim and Dot. So, the people making this, they don't understand basic canon. I mean, I'm a Star Trek nerd to the least extent. I know a lot more people that know a lot more of the nitty-gritty details about canon and things within the Trek universe that either coincide or contradict each other. And I gotta say, even I noticed how is... Okay, you're showing the movie Enterprise now, but it's the Enterprise A? But that only showed up in Star Trek 4, and you seem to be only going as far as Star Trek 3 in this little animated recreation. So I don't quite understand that. I really don't. Why they just can't learn the basic canon to know enough that, okay, Michael Giacchino, I think, is the guy who directed Ephraim and Dot. And maybe he just didn't know. Maybe he didn't. That's a detail that he overlooked. And listen, not everybody who works on a Star Trek show or movie is going to know all the fine details enough to tell the director, the producer, whoever's in charge, production designer, whatever, hey, this detail is wrong, or this detail should be like this, and there really wasn't a window here. When they show Sulu with the sword, there's like windows on both sides of them, and that wasn't the case in the original series, but I suppose you can reimagine it to be more futuristic than it actually looked like in the 60s. But what they're failing to do with shows like Discovery is sync up that look. It's just so blatantly different. And season 2 with Pike and, the uniforms, which still canonically, they'll match up, but whatever. I never wanted shoulder pads on the TOS style uniforms, but they put them on there. They Discoveryized the TOS world, and which is why I just really want them to stop just revisiting the past Star Trek and trying to just say to people, hey, look, Ephraim and Dot, look, we got all these nods and fan service in with TOS, but at the same time, we don't pay attention to pretty obvious details like when the Enterprise A came into existence. So, yeah. That's that. But I don't mean to be so negative about the short treks. I mean, if you think about it like, okay, something like some kids could watch or something. I don't even think kids would care about watching this kind of stuff. Really. They'd rather watch like many of the hundreds of other things that they could watch besides animated short treks. And I had hoped if they were going to make animated short treks that they would be more adult oriented. But you got Ephraim and Dot, which is like a Looney Tunes cartoon, which is a fun, kind of nod to old Trek. In a way, disrespecting it in some ways. Like that Enterprise fiasco, which is, you could sum it up to a production mistake, but come on. It's like simulation in Discovery, like spelling errors, and you know how they said, hey, we're never going to have Spock. We're never going to rely on old characters. We're going to make it all new. Okay, bring in Spock, which is fine, I guess. Pike was a blessing on the show. It's a decent show, Discovery. It could be so much more than what it is, though. It's just a little bit of spice here and there, and a little bit of rearranging of I don't know, narrative agenda. Because you look at season 2, and Kurtzman even admits that it was kind of backwards engineered. I suppose they wanted to get to a point where they didn't have to deal with old canon, and they wanted something where it involved Michael and Michael's mother, and at the end Michael had to take Discovery into the future, or something like that. And then they backwards engineered how to get there, and it was a jumbled mess. There's so many things, so many questions that arise in season 2, like how did Michael Burnham's mother move that church and all those people fully intact from one end of the galaxy to the other? And if she did with this suit, then how come this suit, being so advanced, how come it's not from the future? It's implied in one of the episodes by Leland, I believe, that they're talking about like technology from the future spurs advancement and all this stuff. I was thinking, oh, okay, well, that Red Angel suit is certainly from the year fucking 3000 or something, right? No, it's something that they built in the 23rd century that is basically a god suit. It can go at any point, at any time, and anywhere in the galaxy and transport mass amounts of people, land and building intact to another place way, way, way the fuck across the galaxy. Anyway, it's frustrating. It's frustrating that they don't really explain that. I understand people are just like, don't worry about it. It's just a TV show. Well, I expect something a little more out of Star Trek when they pose these huge questions. I mean, traditionally they answer it in some way, shape, or form. Usually there is an understanding at the end of every episode or season, at least, that some narrative has been accomplished, as opposed to just having an endpoint and then deconstructing it and forcing all the elements to come together to the point that you originally came to, which was the very end of it. Burnham has to lead Discovery out of this timeline because we can't deal with this shit as writers. Let's set it like way, way in the future. We can do whatever the fuck we want then, and goddamn, season 3 of Discovery, it better be innovative and dramatic and soulful and sad and exciting and optimistic, and have that original flair of exploration that they had, in the original series. Because now they have the creative freedom. I don't care if they say that Starfleet was over and now there are a whole bunch of Nazis or some shit, like they're futuristic Nazis. It's like Starfleet somehow de-evolved into this maniacal organization, like they're like the Hydra of the 31st or 32nd century, or however long it is. But after getting back to the animated short treks, it's like you go through all this effort, and even though the animation in Ephraim and Dot is not like as good as The Girl Who Made the Stars, it's still a lot of work and a lot of effort goes into this and a lot of time, and they have this stuff storyboarded, and at no point did anyone say, hey, can we work out how the Enterprise looks from time period to time period? Because you're saying that the Enterprise A is basically the motion picture Enterprise, which is a different Enterprise. The motion picture Enterprise existed between the motion picture and Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock, then was destroyed by way of self-destruction. Get out of there! Get out of there! Christopher Lloyd as Krug. I love that scene. But anyway, you have that, and then you have right on the front of it, Enterprise A. And it's like, no. That showed up in part 4. What are you talking about? Nobody at any point said, hey, that's not right. Maybe we should just take 10 minutes and fucking correct that. I don't even care if it looks exactly the same physically, the dimensions and whatnot. Just the fact that A is on there as it explodes, and then it recreates that part where it falls into the planet or whatever. But it's a nice little nod, I get what they're going with. I know they're trying their best, but god damn it. Try a little harder. Do a little more research into Star Trek. I think every writer and every producer and every director, their homework should be to sit down, eat a fucking bag of popcorn, and just watch Star Trek. Even if it's randomly. or chronologically in the way that the timeline plays out, or chronologically in terms of how the shows and movies were made. That's probably the best way to do it. Start from the original series, go to the movies, go to TNG, and then the movies some more in between DS9 and Voyager, right up until Enterprise. That should be everyone's homework for anyone who works on Star Trek at this point. And even if at first you're in the writer's room and you're not fully versed on canon and you don't know it completely, well, goddamn, just continue every day. If you're getting paid, if you're getting paid to write for Star Trek and to produce Star Trek, to direct Star Trek, then at least your research should be maybe, Jesus, even if it's 15 or 20 fucking minutes a day of just taking in some version of Star Trek, whether it be any movie or anything else. Just do your homework, because trust me, fans really appreciate the small details, especially in a time when we've had 10 years of alternate Trek, this JJ and Discovery stuff, which is entertaining in its own way. But I cannot and I will not reconcile it with what I love and grew up with, which is from TNG to Enterprise. And, you know, I revisited TOS as a series as a kid, didn't like it as a kid, liked it as an adult. I'd always liked the TOS movies, except for the motion picture, which was the last one I'd ever seen, and that was like 20 years ago. It was the last TOS motion picture that I ever saw in 1999. Rented it on video, this old worn cassette, and you know that pan and scan that they do for VHS didn't help the movie at all, so it looked terrible, for one thing. But when I saw it on DVD in like 2003, I believe, was it like the director's cut came out or something like that? I was like, oh, in the widescreen, I was like, the cinematography in this movie is fucking amazing. Still boring as fuck. It's a sleep aid. Star Trek the Motion Picture is like an ASMR video where you just like, you put it on, you're like, you just fall asleep. I tried to watch it the other day, and yeah, about 40 minutes in, can't do it. I don't know what it is. I appreciate the score and many things about the movie, but as a whole, it's just very difficult to watch from beginning to end. Wrath of Khan I can get through pretty easy. Same thing with Search for Spock and Voyage Home. I have a growing appreciation for The Final Frontier. I like that more and more every time I watch it. I don't know what it is. I think Sybok, the fact that he was ignored in Discovery actually irks me, and I didn't expect that to bother me so much at first. I was like, yeah, well, Sybok's around somewhere, but you know, Spock says that he was raised with Sybok, and they were raised as brothers. So the fact that Discovery just blatantly says, yeah, we're not going to deal with that. We're just going to focus on Michael. I don't mind that he had a sister as well. That's no problem at all. I actually like the character of Michael Burnham. I think she's quite a fascinating character, a human being raised on Vulcan, who aspires to be, you know, the best. So the fact that she's a bit arrogant and she always seems like she's the smartest one in the room is actually a character trait I don't mind. But yeah. Apparently there are like 2 people watching me right now, or listening. Leave a comment. Let me know who you are, because I'm just rambling here like a madman. So anyway, I was getting back to the short treks. Overall are okay. What was the first one? The first one was the one about Tilly and the alien. Fine, whatever, cool. Calypso, they're all meh. I mean, Ask Not with Pike was okay. Didn't have anything against it. Didn't really feel nothing for it either. You know, I'm almost kind of like fan blinded by the fact that Picard is coming very soon. I don't mean that in a sexual way. But, you know, we're going to be seeing episodes of Star Trek Picard pretty soon where it's like the first ever television continuation of anything post Voyager. It's post Nemesis. We get to find out what's going on years later, and it's around the time that the future flash forwards of All Good Things take place in. So there's a pretty cool parallel there, right? So, although those are not completely different timelines, because whatever the future events that happen in All Good Things, you know, they're not set in stone, obviously. I don't think at any point in Picard that we're going to deal with his Ironic syndrome. Hey, Steve Fothery, I'm here, he says. Hey, Steve, how's it going? I want more people on this channel chatting with me. Like, I like doing Skype calls and stuff. You can, like, pre-record them and upload them on this channel. I like talking to my friends online, the Starfleet Boy and Text Trek and Trek on the Tube, Trek Prize, all those guys. I'm sure I missed somebody. Oh yeah, Star Trek Continuum, I think. And who else out there is big fans of Doomcock and Mecha Random? Yeah, shout out. No, I'm just kidding. I find it fascinating that you can broadcast live on the internet, and some people, like, you know, down the States somewhere, they're like, hey, I'm going to check out what this dude is saying. But, you know, in terms of canon, I gotta say, they just need to be a little more educated. Just educate yourselves. It's going to be a gradual process. Fans really appreciate when you get the finer details correct. You know, I'm pretty much done with talking about the animated short treks. I just think they're okay, they're fine. You know, whatever. I can't wait for Children of Mars. That's the next short trek that has something to do with Picard. I also can't wait for the second Picard comic. I read the first one, and yeah, spoilers. Picard wants to evacuate indigenous species of a Romulan planet, but the Romulans consider them like the trees and the rocks. They don't consider them like sentient beings, even though Picard recognizes that they are, and he's like, yeah, well, you gotta evacuate these folks too. And the Romulan's like, no, we're gonna take you prisoner. Meow. It's like, okay then. And now Picard's prisoner. Now he's got to negotiate with these Lord of the Rings looking Romulan chick and dudes, and it's just okay. Sure, I don't know if it's canon or not because it contradicts the last Countdown comic that dealt with the Romulan supernova. The Countdown comic for the 2009 Star Trek that dealt with Nero and Spock and all that. So it's not in line with that. It doesn't seem to be. And if this next comic and the third one mean anything to the show, I hope we're not reliant on the comic to understand anything in the show. The show should be completely self-explanatory. If they're going to talk about Romulus or talk about that evacuation or go to it in any detail, I'd rather they actually show us and not just talk about it in conversations. So, Steve Fothery says, I'm curious how fast and loose Picard will be with canon. Trailers suggest they're going to be more mindful of the little continuity details. Yeah, I don't know if you noticed, they have a Discovery shuttle in the background in one shot in that trailer, one of the trailers. And that, like, you know, I don't know, irritated some people. I didn't even notice that. I only noticed the fact that, you know, Data's there, 7 of 9 is there. They got the old uniforms, you know, intact. Riker is there, Deanna Troi. I mean, it does seem like a genuine continuation of the TNG era. It really does. Mixed with a little mix of Voyager and whatnot in there. So that the fact that 7 of 9 is in the fucking show is just like, it boggles my mind still. I hope she's in it much more than I'm anticipating, because goddamn, Jeri Ryan as 7 of 9 is going to be alongside Patrick Stewart as Jean-Luc Picard in a new television series. And oh, by the way, Data's there too somewhere, even if he's there for like a second. Riker's there, Deanna Troy's there, even if they're there for like a minute or so. God, what if Geordi shows up? What if Geordi shows up? My God, what if Worf shows up? Oh, prepare for ramming speed. Perhaps the day is a good day to come, because God damn, that would just fucking get my rocks off. I don't mean to be so explicit. I've had a few drinks. But seriously, blatant fan service is something that I would be a very huge fan of in Picard. I don't even care if Picard goes and sees Riker and it really means nothing and adds nothing to the story. I don't even care if that's the case. Like, I'll just go, he can just transport over to wherever he is. I'll just go visit Deanna Troi and Riker at the cabin. Have a chat. Boom, that's it. That's the extent of it. I would like for Riker to have a bigger role. I would like for him to be still the captain of the Titan at this point. Probably an admiral by now. But if he is, then at some point later in the season, he shows up in the Titan and some kind of dire situation. I don't care if it's a stupid Deus Ex Machina, but some kind of dire situation at the end of the season where fucking Riker shows up as captain of the Titan. Even if he's not captain, he does one of these things where he like takes over as admiral. But he swoops in and helps battle whatever Picard is fighting. Probably not the Borg, more likely the Romulans. And then boom, the Enterprise E, still intact, same as it was in Nemesis, swoops in, commanded by Commander Worf. Captain Worf. Wouldn't that be awesome? Wouldn't you just cream your fucking jeans if that happened? But see, here's the thing. It probably won't. That's probably too good to be true, and that's sad. Because I feel deep down they really don't know what certain fans like myself really, really want out of something like a Picard series, which is a sequel. Now, the fact that he's not in Starfleet and he's going rogue again and whatnot, that's beautiful. But at some point, he's probably going to get some help from Starfleet. And if that's the case, then goddamn, that'll be great. Yeah, I think I have everything. I think I have all my rants out. I'm very tired now. I'm not used to talking this much by myself. But like in the future, I hope this channel will have more chats with friends of mine who also love Star Trek. And I like opposing opinions. I don't like everybody to agree with me. In fact, I'm a big fan of opposing opinions. I like watching something on TV, like a new Star Trek Discovery episode or Short Trek, and then going online and seeing who hates it and who loves it and who's in between. It's all good as long as we know we're not physically threatening each other, or we're not making out like my opinion is the only opinion that matters. You're wrong. I hate these people out there who are just like trying to prove that their opinion is gospel and that it's the be all and end all of all things. And I think we need to listen to each other more, even if we piss each other off sometimes with what we say about things that we love. Like, I know a lot of people out there love these animated short treks. They're like, oh, I can watch them with my kids, and the animation is cool and it's like a cool cartoon. It's a nice tribute to the TOS and television and movie era and blah blah blah. It's like, cool, man, that's great. The fact that it succeeds in that way is a good thing. Just me, I have my little nitpicky ways, and I would just like a little more thought into, when delving into canon, revisiting TOS era type of things, just get the finer details right, or else just leave it alone. Just go forward. I like the fact that Picard is going forward. Anything after this, the Section 31, whatever Pike movie or TV series they may be planning, beyond that, just go forward. I don't know about Picard being a kind of pass the torch kind of show to like a new cast or whatever, but I can definitely see Jerry Ryan spinning off into her own series after Picard, and that will be the catalyst for everything moving forward within the 25th century within the Star Trek canonical universe. So anyway, that's all I have to say. I want to thank anybody who's listening for listening, and anybody who's going to listen to this after the live broadcast. Thank you for participating in this insanity. And I hope to talk to you guys again sometime in the future. Please leave a comment below. Tell me what you think about my insane rants. And hopefully in the future I'll get other people to talk to, because I actually do feel like kind of an idiot talking to myself, even though I have some people interacting with me here. But I really enjoy getting all this stuff off my chest in terms of how I feel about the current state of Trek, and I continue to strive to make more of these videos more frequently, because I know some person out there, some couple of people kind of into listening to random people. I certainly go on YouTube a lot and just find the most random 1 view, 2 views, 3 views kind of videos of just random people who decide to upload their thoughts on whatever kind of Trek is happening at the time, and it's fascinating. I suggest you do that. Like, just type into Google Star Trek videos uploaded in that 24-hour period, and just see all like the people you've never heard of. Just, and if it doesn't interest you, click off right away. I encourage you not to give thumbs down to people who are just like starting out and trying to make YouTube videos. I'm not a serious YouTuber. Like, this is like whatever to me. But it is kind of therapeutic just to fucking get shit out. Just talk it out. And of course, I've said fucking shit so much that this is clearly not for kids. And it doesn't matter because I'm not monetizing this video anyway. So I'm going to stop there. And thanks for listening. Have a great night.